You're obviously the voice of Andy Davis from Toy Story, the Toy Story universe, because it's not just Toy Story 1, 2, 3, and 4, the films. It's also the third video game. And you made some appearances in like various Disney series. And you've been
Disney on
documentaried.
Ice as well.
Disney on Ice. I didn't even know
I
that.
sang You've Got a Friend in Me for Disney Ice-capades. Yeah.
You've been dabbling. Basically, you're like the go-to. Like if I actually interviewed Irene Bedard. She's a voice of Pocahontas, a singing voice. And it's the same thing for her. Like, I looked at her CV, and it's like, wow, you were like, they keep going back to you. They don't they're really good with committing to a character and staying within canon. And that's kind of good about it. I like them for that reason, actually.
Yeah, they like the consistency, I think. Rather than someone else stepping in to the role and into the voice, they just want to go with the original.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Yeah.
The original, the way you said it. They just want to go with the original.
Yeah.
Now, one of the reasons I really want to talk to you is like, beyond all the characters, and there have been sad moments in these movies, definitely emotional moments. Like, I mean, okay, listen, some of them I've actually cried in.
Yeah.
And I'll just tell you that right now. But people connect with your character because you're basically representing the audience. And I think, I mean, I'm not a genius about this stuff, but their sense of loss of their childhood and having to grow up and that's a powerful underpinning of your character.
Yeah.
And you must, I'm assuming that people come up to you sometimes and talk to you about that and must just break down. Do you have a lot of crying fans? More than your fair share?
Yes, especially in Toy Story 3, that final scene where Andy is going off to college and he's saying goodbye to the toys and gifting them to Bonnie for their next chapter. That is the scene that everyone references as the most emotional for them, and that was definitely the most emotional for me recording.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, do you get taken over by this material? It's animation, but do you actually feel it and like, give me a sec, guys, so I gotta like...
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I was recording it, Lee Unkrich, the director, said, go back to a time... Well, first of all, go back and remember what it was like to, leave high school and go to college, but also what it was like to say goodbye. And I definitely tapped into that emotionally and gave it a lot of space, and they gave it a lot of space. And I definitely was teary while I was recording it, and I think that kind of came through a little bit.
Yeah. And they talk to you, they don't think they're going to even cry.
Yeah.
It's like going on Oprah or something, and all of a sudden they're like...
Yeah. Right. And also I think it's hard, with emotions, it's sometimes hard to pinpoint them, and verbally to express them. And so sometimes the emotion just takes over.
Yeah.
And, I love it. I love, Comic-Cons and opportunities when I get to meet with fans, talk with them, hear their stories. It's really valuable.
Listen, when you reunite, people always think, oh, you're going back to Toy Story, you get to reconnect with all those famous movie stars. I don't think they understand the nature of this business. I don't think you actually all sit in a room and talk together. You probably barely even see them when you're on set, right? You're all in your own cubicles and you come at different days and you go,
So you're absolutely right. Yeah, so we record separately.
Yeah.
And then the premieres are really when we all get together.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on, as you can imagine, at the premieres.
Finally, you get to have a good time.
Yeah, but we get to talk to each other and congratulate one another on our strong work and
catch up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So those are really nice moments to gather. But besides that, it's we're working on our own essentially with directors and producers. Yeah. Who are really talented, of course.
You mentioned connecting with fans, going to events like conventions like this.
Yeah.
I think I caught an interview of yours at D23, that big Disney convention. How often do you get to go to that? I've always wanted to go. I think it's like it's like right up there with San Diego and New York Comic Con for like places like if you're a geek, you have to it's like Mecca for geeks. You have to go there.
So I actually am wanting to go to more and more of these because we can do the work, kind of in isolation and I can enjoy it with my friends and family. But again, to have that interface and to hear from all of these really, creative, special fans is one of the best parts, actually.
I was wondering, we talked about this briefly. In passing, I was just passing you, I think at your convention table before you even did the interview. I was asking you about where you were, like what was your life like? Because obviously, this isn't your life. This is a part of your life,
Yeah.
And in much the same way, you know the girl that played Newt in Alien?
Yes.
In Aliens? She's like, that's what all she did. Now,
right.
And but that was good enough for her. She had her own path to too. And I'm curious, what's your life like when you're not doing Toy Story, or when you get the call to do number 3 or number 4? What do you do in your actual as a grown up besides like having a good time in a booth somewhere?
Right.
Yeah.
So I still do voiceover.
Yeah.
And my favorite voiceover to still work on is films, animated films, and series.
Yeah.
But that being said, voiceover is a large world.
Yeah.
And there are commercials and promos and
yeah,
audiobooks
tons,
and lots of
It's not all
things.
glamour. Sometimes it's like selling soap. I mean, whatever pays the bills and you have a good time and builds your CV.
Right. I do have a few projects in development that have to do with playing Andy.
Okay.
That's sort of the only thing I can say right now because they're in development. But that's a stay tuned. So I also work at San Francisco Opera Guild. I'm part of the education team there.
Yeah.
And our programs reach over 64,000 students in over 200 schools per year in the Bay Area. So I work, I help manage programs that reach students. We have our Opera Scouts teen group, and they sing and act and take master classes and perform. And so that's a really great way to give back in a sense to a younger generation.
Believe it or not, actually, I actually got my start quite a few years ago volunteering for an opera company.
Oh, nice.
I went there to buy tickets, cheap tickets, and they said, "You want to be an extra in the supernumerary, they call it, in Aida." I walked on stage a couple times.
Nice.
It was a wicked experience, and I volunteered with them for a decade after.
Awesome.
So yeah, I understand the appeal. Like a lot of people know the appeal and the high art of it.
Yes.
It's not just not for snobs. It's like it's got everything. It's like every art form squished into one.
That's
and
right.
more people should pay attention to it. It's really the best bang for your buck. I swear to God.
Agreed. Yeah.
Any other anything you can't really talk because of Disney and the snipers that are around us. You can't talk too much about those projects. But do you have anything else you can discuss? Any other little strings we can pull on something else coming down?
Yeah. I do have a few ideas. I do like to write, and so I have a few ideas for children's books.
Yeah.
And they could relate to this world or this world or voiceover. I would like to. A lot of kind of young actors I speak to and kids and students. Voiceover is kind of its own niche.
Yeah.
And so they don't necessarily know all of the ins and outs of it. So I would like to kind of open up voiceover to them and demystify it and share how much fun it is and what exactly it is. And so I have a few projects that are kind of percolating that I reference, but also some books I'd like to write, maybe for young adults or children about voiceover.
It was an honor to meet you, and
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Great to talk with you.